Hey, hello, my friend. Welcome to the Artist Next Level podcast. I'm very happy to connect here with you because in this episode, we're going to talk about the 3-step marketing framework. This is something that I've been helping and teaching artists for a long time. How to think about your marketing into 3 categories or 3 buckets or 3 steps that lead you to elevate your brand as an artist, to find new collectors, to reach out to the right people, galleries, curators, etc. It's a simple 3-step framework, but just because it's simple doesn't mean it's not important. It's actually simple so that you can understand it and we can visualize it, but it is actually quite complex in how we can actually use this framework as artists to advance our marketing and reach out more people with our art.
Resources, inspiring interviews, business practices, and practical advice to take your art career to the next level. Join Sergio Gomez in today's Artist Next Level and get ready to take control of your career.
Well, my friends, so as I mentioned in my intro, this is a 3-step framework that I call the 3-step marketing framework, and each step kind of follows each other. And the way it works is actually quite simple. If you have something to write on, you can do it right now with me as I go along and explain the framework, or you can even mentally visualize it, right? Anyway, we're artists, right? We can visualize things as well. So you can visualize it. It's that simple in how it looks. And very easy to also implement. So let's start with what we're going to draw. So in your mind or in a piece of paper, draw a pyramid. Simple triangular shape, right? A pyramid has 3 sides, and that's all we need, right? So it's a 3-step framework. This pyramid, this triangular shape, kind of will lead us from one step to the next. So we're going to start at the top of the pyramid, which will be your step number 1. And this is what I call the Create Awareness Corner. The Create Awareness, what it's all about is creating marketing that builds awareness for your art. In other words, the first step before anybody even thinks about buying your art, before any gallery thinks about representing you, before any curator thinks about you in the show, they have to know you exist, right? So the step number 1, the Create Awareness bucket or corner in that pyramid, is about creating awareness, making content that just shows up, builds awareness to say, oh, that guy or that lady or that girl, exists. And that's kind of like the purpose of Create Awareness. So how this will look like in the actual world, let's say I go to Instagram Reels and I make a reel that it is made with the design of showing out to more people, to attract people. And the Create Awareness step is that of I'm not going to try to sell you something on this step. I'm not trying to convince you into anything. I'm just showing up. And the best way in which I can show up. So I think about when I go to Instagram, what's the best way to show up and reach more people? It's not going to be through a photograph. It's not going to be through an Instagram story or even a carousel. It's going to be through a reel, right? Because in Instagram, the reels are the pieces of content that reaches more people. And that's my goal when I'm creating content that just creates awareness. I'm just making a reel that is short, that just, it's kind of catchy, has a hook so that people want to watch it. And the more people watch it and react to it, Instagram is going to show it to more people. That's kind of how it works. That's how the algorithms work, right? And the same is true for every other social media platform. So if I go to Facebook and okay, what type of content creates the most reach in Facebook? Also a video. And how about in LinkedIn? Well, maybe in LinkedIn might be a good written post with really good pictures. Although LinkedIn also has now videos, right? So maybe the same video that I did for Instagram, I can use it for all the others. On YouTube, also a YouTube short, it's kind of this quick visibility type of content. And that's exactly what Create Awareness does. It just builds awareness that, hey, I exist. Hey, I'm here. So the person who watches this one time, maybe because they watched the entire, 15-second video, which it's nothing, right? But sounds like in social media, that's actually quite a lot. So somebody watches the entire 15-second video, and because they do, then the algorithms are going to show them more of my other content, right? So that's the purpose of the step number 1 in this 3-step marketing framework, is to create content that just builds awareness. I'm not to worry about what people are reacting to. I'm just creating content that just shows up, that shows that I'm there, I exist, right? Same for my Instagram stories. Because when I create an Instagram story, it's going to show to people that already follow me. So it just kind of builds awareness, like, hey, there's Sergio, right? There he is. And that's the purpose. At the same time, once that has been done, so for example, that could be done on a Monday. On a Monday, I'm going to do a post about that just creates awareness. Now, on Tuesday, for example, or let's say if you're doing a 3 type of posts a week, like that would be your Wednesday, and then the next one will be Friday. But let's say I'm posting every day. So Monday I did a create awareness type of post. So that was a reel. So on Tuesday, I'm going to do something that builds trust. So if you look at your pyramid, right, in step number 1, which is the top of the pyramid, it says create awareness. You can put that create awareness. In step number 2, which is the lower right-hand side of your pyramid, if we go clockwise, you're gonna put number 2, and that we're gonna say build trust. So that's the second step. First, I'm creating awareness. People know I exist. And now I'm going to start building trust with the people that know I exist. How do I build trust? This is where I make maybe a carousel post on Instagram where I, show the different steps of the process of creating my latest painting, right? And I talk a little bit about the story about this. Or maybe I go into a bit longer Instagram reel where, again, I'm showing the process and maybe even talking a little bit about the story, right? So that's the idea of building trust. You build trust by sharing more information, not just showing up, but also sharing actual information that could be useful for the viewer. For example, somebody who likes your art, well, they might be interested to know what's the story behind the art, or how it was made, or what are some of the ideas that inspire you, who are the people that inspire your art, etc. Right? Why do you make the art that you make? You name it. There are 1,000 things you can create that build trust, but it's always around story, around sharing something of value. You don't build trust by just a 10-second video showing your or revealing your latest painting or drawing or whatnot, right? That creates awareness, like, oh, there it is. Now, build trust, you have to tell me more. Now you have to go deeper. Now, because I'm building trust on this particular type of post, I'm not too concerned about the matrix. For example, in my create awareness type of post, I'm thinking about how can I reach more people, right? It's about numbers, reaching more. In building trust, I'm not really concerned about that, because even if 5 people get to read that post and really feel that I'm building trust with them, that's what matters, right? The masses are not going to buy my art. It's one person at a time that buys the art, right? One individual at a time. So you don't need 1,000 people, who feel like you're building trust with them, just for sake of numbers. No, you need one person at a time. So when I'm building trust, I'm talking up to that person who's going to take the time to read the post, the caption, which is going to be less number than when I make the post for reaching awareness, creating awareness. Does that make sense? Hope it's making sense for you. Again, the objective of the first step is to get seen by as many people as I can. The step 2, the build trust in this 3-step marketing framework, is about, telling more stories, getting engagement by, less number of people. Of course, you still want as many as you can, but that's not the concern. The concern here is like, did I say something of value? Did I provide something of value that somebody could find useful? A collector, a gallery owner, etc. Right? So art lover, somebody who follows me, and you'll do that by telling your stories, etc., right? Everything that I mentioned. And that leads you to the last corner in the pyramid, which is generate revenue. That is one of the ones that sometimes artists misinterpret or misuse or forget all about it, or they want it at the top. I have artists who come to me and say, Sergio, I'm making reels and nobody's buying my art. And well, because again, the reels are kind of like the way in which you generate visibility, but not necessarily you're not building trust. They don't trust you yet enough to go to your website and buy from you, right? They don't know much about you just yet. So that's why the step number 2 is important. And at the end, the generate revenue step, this is where you're going to create posts that actually do the selling, right? And actually say, hey, this artwork is available. This is how you can get it. You can go to my website, or you can go to the gallery, or you can go to the show, and you do this in multiple ways and in multiple times. Sometimes you do it through a video. Sometimes you do it through a carousel in which you show how your artwork looks, when it's in the easel, how it looks when it's on a wall, how it will look on somebody's living room, etc., right? You can use that so people can feel and see, okay, this is how the artwork will look in the world. And then you say how they can get it. Sometimes artists forget to make the call to action, like, hey, how do I get this thing, right? Is this available? Are you just sharing for sharing, or you actually sharing this because somebody can get it if they want it, if they like it enough, right? So make sure that in this step number 3, you generate revenue. So for example, this might be, if I'm posting every day, Monday I posted something about creating awareness. Tuesday I posted about building trust, and then Wednesday I'm gonna post something that calls to action for, hey, this is available, this is how you get it, or there are prints available, etc. Right? It makes a very direct call to action as to the purpose of generating revenue. And if you're doing a 3 post type of week, let's say you're only posting 3 times a week, so Monday is your create awareness, Wednesday is your building trust, and Friday is a post about generating revenue. And then you just repeat that cycle. That's why it's a 3-step marketing, because it just repeats that cycle, and if you put in your calendar, if you think about it that way, these 3 buckets or these 3 corners of the pyramid makes it a lot easier to plan your marketing ahead of time, because okay, today is Monday, so I'm going to do something that just creates awareness. Then on Wednesday, I'm going to create something that just builds trust. I'm going to focus on the story. I'm going to share something important. I don't care if not a lot of people see it, because it's just for the few. And then the generate revenue, that's the one that you're gonna really go out for the call to action, where it's available, it is for sale, etc., etc. And you do that, you repeat that, rinse and repeat. Do that as many times as you can. From this point forward, put it in your schedule, and it's a great way to do a marketing in a way that makes sense, in a way that is structured, in a way that gives you a system and a rhythm. It's not overwhelming at all. Gives you 3 steps, and it is very powerful. It is very powerful because it allows you to post with an objective in mind. Problem with a lot of artists, that we just post randomly. We just post like, this or that or whatever. But this gives you an objective. So if the objective is just to build awareness, for example, I'm just going to make something that is catchy, that is short, that has a good hook, and boom, right? And that's it. By the way, when you get to the 3rd step, the generating revenue, typically when you are promoting sales, you're going to get the less reach. In other words, you're going to get the less comments and the less likes and the less reach in your stats when you look at, your numbers. And that's normal, because people don't like to be sold to. And that's why not every post is a selling post, right? You're creating awareness, you're building trust. By the time when somebody reads your post about, generating revenue, the step 3 is because they really like you. They really like your work. They really want to see what you have to say. Even though they may not be buying right there, right now, but now they know what is the process, how you sell, where you sell it, where they can buy it. You start priming that in their minds, and you repeat this many times. And when a person is ready to buy from you because they've seen your art, because they heard from you through a reel that you posted, because algorithms keep showing it to them, it will be very easy for them, to find a post in which you are talking about sales and you're talking about how to buy your art, etc. So let me know how you like this particular framework. Let me know if you haven't given me a review on this podcast. Please do so. This is one way in which we can help more artists around the world. Just go to the app and review this podcast. It would really, really, it will be really awesome, and I would really thank you for that. And of course, if you want to get better also at your Instagram, I have an awesome course that really hundreds of artists have taken it in 2026. It's called Instagram Made Simple for Artists 50 plus. So if you're an artist who is 50 and over, and you feel like, Instagram is too hard, too difficult, technology is not your thing, you don't know where to click, this course is for you. It gives you, all short videos, step by step. I guide you through the whole thing, from the basics to more advanced to really more in-depth advance on how the algorithms work, how you create content, etc. Everything that you need to know about Instagram is in that course. So you can find it at theartistnextlevel.com. Just go to the website, theartistnextlevel.com, right from the homepage. You'll be able to click on our courses, and then you'll see their Instagram course. And if you want to join our community, where we have hundreds of artists from around the world working together, and I work with them every week, I'll coach you, I'll walk you through it. And now also through our challenge from the studio to the world, not only you can learn and advance in your art career, but also now you are able to submit your portfolio for review for me and for my gallery. So it's pretty awesome. Some of these are all new things that we have added, which I'll leave that for another episode to kind of tell you more about that. But just go to our website, theartistnextlevel.com. You'll find everything you need to know. And we hope to see you very soon, my friend. Thank you for listening, and I will see you at the next level.
Check out our website at www.theartistnextlevel.com, where you will find our podcast library, learn about our upcoming webinars, find resources relevant to your career, and much more. Thanks for listening to today's podcast, and we'll see you at the next level.